In the shadows of a medieval village, I, Father Lucien, found my world engulfed in darkness and despair. It was the year 1348, a time when the Black Death clawed its way through Europe, indiscriminately claiming lives and spreading fear among the living. The Church, a bastion of faith in our community, now stood as a fortress of judgmental wrath. The elders preached a singular doctrine: the afflicted were sinners, marked by the hand of God, and we, the faithful, must distance ourselves from them to avoid God's anger. Every day, I watched as fear swept through the hearts of the villagers. The plague struck swiftly, pulling families apart and turning neighbors into strangers. Despite my role as a priest, I battled an internal crisis. The words of my mentor echoed in my mind. "Do not venture close to the unclean, for they are cursed." Yet, the sight of suffering gnawed at my conscience, creating a storm of doubt within my soul. One fateful night, as the moonlight bathed the village in an eerie glow, I heard the faint sound of sobbing beyond the church walls. Against my better judgment, curiosity drew me outside. There, huddled against the cold stones of the churchyard, was a woman cradling a child. I could see her trembling figure, desperation and sorrow etched into her worn face. She was a leper, her child infected, and their presence struck me like a bolt of lightning. In that moment, my heart ached, and I felt an overwhelming urge to help. The fear instilled by my elders faded, replaced by a profound sense of compassion. I approached cautiously, my heart pounding. "What can I do?" I whispered. She looked up at me with tear-filled eyes, and the world around us melted away. From that night forward, I became a secret messenger of hope. Under the cover of darkness, I would sneak food and medicine to the leper colony hidden on the outskirts of the village. My visits each night became a lifeline for those forsaken. I experienced a surge of purpose that I had never found within the walls of the church. Each healed bruise and grateful smile ignited a flame of faith that rebelled against the teachings I had so rigidly followed. But shadows lurked in silence. My secret acts of kindness did not go unnoticed. A fellow monk caught a glimpse of my clandestine missions. His eyes, filled with suspicion, bore witness to my betrayal of the church's command. I felt the icy grip of fear returning, knowing that exposure would mean condemnation. Yet, the faces of the lepers, their gratefulness and trust, propelled me to continue my work despite the looming danger. My fate was sealed one fateful evening. I returned from one of my expeditions when I was confronted in the cloister by the abbot and a band of church officials. The weight of their judgment pressed down upon me like a heavy stone. "Lucien, you are accused of consorting with sinners and endangering the holy congregation." The abbot's voice boomed, echoing through the vast hall. My heart raced. The villagers had begun to whisper of miracles, of kindness creeping in from the darkest corners. But the abbot and his followers saw only heresy and rebellion. They took me captive, dragging me before the town in a display meant to instill fear in the hearts of the people. The day of my trial dawned heavy and somber. The villagers gathered, eyes filled with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. I stood accused, feeling the weight of every gaze upon me as I faced the tribunal of the church, my heart pounding painfully in my chest. The voices murmured, questioning my integrity, my loyalty to God. I felt a profound isolation, surrounded by faces I had known all my life, now turned to judgment. But as the proceedings wore on, I sensed a shift in the atmosphere, an undercurrent of doubt, creeping into the hearts of those who had come to see blood. Perhaps the flame of compassion I had ignited had sparked something greater within my community, a collective reckoning with their fears and beliefs. Then, a moment of divine intervention changed everything. Just as the abbot raised his hand to deliver the verdict, a figure burst through the doors of the courthouse. It was the boy I had rescued, the one infected with the plague. He stood before the assembly, no longer bearing the marks of sickness, radiant and healed. Gasps filled the room as he spoke, his voice trembling but steady. "Father Lucien helped me. He showed me love when no one else would. He is not cursed. He is blessed by God." The crowd fell into hushed silence, and I saw the doubt morph into disbelief and redemption. The boy's miraculous healing challenged the very foundation of what we believed. But could this be divine will? If God could heal the so-called cursed, then what did that say about us, the self-righteous? The realization rippled through the crowd like an invisible wave, igniting a sense of moral reckoning. In those moments of silence, I understood. This was not merely a trial of my actions, but a call to reflect on the essence of our faith. Could it be that the true sin lay in the unwillingness to love, to embrace the suffering, and to look beyond the surface? Every face in that courtyard transformed in that instant, fear giving way to forgiveness and compassion. Through the chaos of emotions flooding the courtroom, I found strength within me, a fervor to speak. "We are all children of God," I shouted, my voice breaking through the clamor. "Compassion does not come from the absence of sin, but from the presence of love. If we are called to serve, let it be with open hearts, not fearful souls." The echoes of my words ricocheted off the walls as I faced the crowd, daring to challenge the fear that once consumed us. The abbot's authority crumbled like dried leaves in the wind, and I felt the weight of years of superstition falling away. The people around me began to nod, slowly at first, but then with conviction. In that moment, we redefined our understanding of faith. It was not the absence of sin that made us holy, but the embrace of our shared humanity. As the trial concluded, I was released into a transformed village, one irrevocably changed by an act of bravery born out of love. No longer would they shun the afflicted. We would walk together in faith, in acceptance, in compassion. What started as a crisis of conviction led to a beautiful revelation about the power of mercy, igniting a light where darkness once cast its shadow. So, here I stand before you, not merely a priest burdened by convictions, but a beacon of hope among the hopeless. I believe that in times of fear and uncertainty, we must rise above our judgments, for it is in compassion that we find true redemption. If we are willing to open our hearts, even to those we deem unworthy, we may just discover the miracle of humanity waiting to be unveiled. If you feel inspired by this story of courage, compassion, and the quest for understanding, make sure to subscribe to Medieval Stories. Together, let's dive deeper into the tales of our past, each filled with lessons and insights that can still illuminate our present and future. Join our community of storytellers and history enthusiasts, and together we will uncover the powerful narratives that shape our shared heritage. Thank you for being part of this journey. In the days following the trial, the village underwent a profound transformation. The miraculous event reverberated through the streets, steeping the community in dialogue about compassion and human connection. Families that had once harbored fear for their health and safety began to reach out to one another, breaking bread at the same tables and offering solace to the grieving. Love replaced judgment, and whispers of hope became the new currency of our lives. As the priest tasked with guiding the spiritual journey of my village, I felt a renewed sense of responsibility. My own faith, once riddled with doubt, now burned brightly, fueled by the knowledge that love was the most potent force against darkness and despair. I embraced my role not just as a messenger of God's word, but as a servant of the people, devoted to fostering genuine relationships among all members of our community, irrespective of their past sins. But the remnants of fear still lingered. Some among us continued to harbor skepticism, wary of the lepers now reclaiming their place within our midst. Though the healed boy had brought light into our lives, deep-seated prejudices proved difficult to dismantle overnight. One evening, I stood at the entrance of the church, witnessing a group of villagers casting wary glances toward the leper colony as they walked past. Their hushed voices echoed with disdain, and I felt a pang of sorrow for both sides. I knew then that my work was far from over. It was not enough to have accepted the lepers into our community. We needed to embrace them fully, just as we would any brother or sister in Christ. So I devised a plain event to bring together all who had experienced the pain of separation, to foster understanding, and to mend the rifts that division had carved between us. I called for a gathering in the town square, a day dedicated to celebration, healing, and unity. It would commemorate the miracle that had transpired and honor every soul afflicted by the plague, regardless of their condition. With fervor, I proclaimed, "Let us feast together, share our stories, and rebuild the bonds of faith and friendship that the darkness of division has tried to sever." The villagers responded with curiosity, some with hesitation, but many felt the stirring of hope in their hearts. On the chosen day, the sun bathed the square in warm light as tables adorned with food filled the open space between our houses. Laughter began to flourish in the midst of apprehension as people from the leper colony and the villagers gathered side by side, sharing plates and sharing stories, rebuilding trust with each connection forged. During those hours, I walked among them, listening to their tales of love and loss, joy and pain. The lepers spoke of their lives before the plague, their families, their dreams, their contributions to the village, reminding us all that they were not defined by their suffering, but enriched by their experiences and resilience. Villagers shared their own stories of overcoming fear, finding strength in vulnerability and acceptance as they extended hands to the outcasts who had once been shunned. As the festivities continued into the evening, a palpable shift coursed through the gathering. Children laughed, danced, and played without regard for the fear that had once separated them. The music intertwined with our shared laughter, growing louder until the stars began to twinkle into existence overhead. It felt as though nature herself had become an ally, celebrating our newfound unity and the healing that was happening in our hearts. Though the leprosy remained a tangible threat, the barriers it had erected among us crumbled. In that ephemeral space, acceptance blossomed like wildflowers in spring. We no longer affirmed the notion that the afflicted were cursed. Instead, we recognized the grace that lay within their existence. Our village was not simply a collection of individuals defined by their roles or the tragedies they bore. We became a community united by love and compassion. In the weeks that followed, I watched the seeds of change take root. Morning prayers within the walls of the church included those from the leper colony. The villagers began donating their time to help care for the sick, offering companionship instead of avoidance. Moments of service turned into friendships, and our community flourished in ways I never thought possible. Through every act of kindness, we dismantled the chains that had long restrained our spirits. Slowly but surely, the shadow of the plague lessened, and new life stirred in our village, a testament to the resilience of the human heart. I felt the presence of God within each of us, moving through our actions and illuminating the path of acceptance and love. But the ever-present specter of human nature remained. Conversations still contained traces of doubt, and some resented that their former beliefs were being challenged. I recalled my own internal struggle as I wrestled with the teachings of the church. It required courage, not just to accept love, but to extend it, even when faced with resistance. One chilly night, a fellow priest approached me, his eyes filled with concern. "Lucien," he began hesitantly, "I admire your spirit, but the teachings of the church must not be forsaken. God's wrath has a purpose, and these individuals cannot simply be welcomed back." The tension ignited within me. But have we not seen the miracles born from compassion? The love we extend serves as a testament of faith that transcends fear. Is it not our duty to embody the essence of Christ's teachings? The conversation unfolded late into the night, the flickering candlelight casting shadows on the ancient stone walls, becoming witnesses to our debate. My conviction swelled as I spoke with passion, fueled by the spirit of the villagers who had forged connections across boundaries once deemed immovable. While we may not reach consensus, I knew that our dialogues must continue, for growth bloomed from discomfort. In defending our actions, my heart aligned with the concepts of mercy that Christ espoused. It was not merely about accepting the outcasts, but about understanding that love and forgiveness must be rooted at the core of our belief. I pledged to continue fostering dialogue within our community, even when it was challenging. The miracle of the healed boy reverberated through our lives, serving as the catalyst for a movement of healing and acceptance. Our village would never be the same, but in each kind gesture, we woven together a new narrative where love thrived over judgment, where mercy reigned, and where we could embrace our shared humanity. As word spread about our village, travelers began to visit, drawn in by tales of forgiveness and unity. They came to witness this groundbreaking shift, and with them came new opportunities to learn and grow as we shared our experiences and extended compassion to those still caught in cycles of fear. With every visitor, I felt the essence of the story we had begun together, reaffirming that our journey was just beginning. There would always be challenges in our path, but we were now equipped with love to navigate through the tumultuous waters of judgment and fear. And so, our journey continued, each day offering a new chapter filled with hope, unity, and redemption. As we stood on the precipice of a new dawn, I knew that our collective story would echo through time, serving as a reminder that even in the darkest of ages, love can indeed light the way. If you have found inspiration in this tale of courage and compassion, or wish to embark on further journeys through the pages of history, please subscribe to Medieval Stories. Together, we will explore the tales that connect us to our past and shape our present, uncovering the wisdom that endures through the ages. Join our community and let us continue this noble quest for understanding and kindness. Thank you for being part of our journey. As the seasons turned, our village blossomed into a sanctuary of hope and resilience, yet the shadows of doubt lingered on the fringes. While many embraced the healing spirit that enveloped us, there were still those who clung tightly to the past, unable to shake the fear that came from years of indoctrination. I felt this dissonance acutely, knowing that both love and fear coexisted within our community. The lepers and former outcasts began to emerge into daily life. They worked in the fields, shared in the markets, and participated in our communal prayers. Each interaction carried the weight of history, a narrative that challenged the very essence of what we had believed. As I witnessed their integration, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the visions of redemption unfolding before me. But even gratitude did not erase the residual apprehension that had settled within some hearts. One afternoon, while preparing for a special feast to commemorate our journey, I found myself engaged in conversation with a skeptic named Agatha, a staunch village elder. Her brow furrowed as she recounted tales of the lepers, voices filled with mistrust that echoed through her words. "Lucien, you cannot simply ignore the nature of sin. Those afflicted are marked by God. It is dangerous to be so close to them." Her conviction was palpable, yet beneath her stern words lay a current of fear that I longed to address. "Agatha," I replied gently, "do you not see the lives transformed before our eyes? Love has dispelled the darkness. It has revealed the inherent worth within each of us, even those we once deemed cursed. Is it not our duty to extend that love and trust?" She hesitated, her eyes narrowing as my words seemed to dance upon her conscience. "But what if your empathy is misplaced? What if they bring forth our downfall?" Tensions flared as we debated the nuances of faith, love, and judgment, the air thick with the weight of centuries of belief. I understood her fear. However, I could no longer abide by a faith that relegated humanity into categories of the clean and the unclean. Together, we must find a way to bridge the chasm between our fears and aspirations. Weeks turned into months, and our village prepared for the arrival of spring. The approaching season breathed life into our fields, transforming them into vibrant tapestries of color, symbolizing the hope we had nurtured. As the sun warmed our landscape, I organized another gathering, a celebration of our rebirth, where each village family would offer a small token of gratitude for the miracles we had witnessed. On the day of the feast, as laughter and jubilant voices filled the air, I stood before the assembly, heart swelling with pride. From the lepers sharing their stories to the villagers embracing them as equals, every moment resonated with unity. Food was laid out on long tables, a banquet that showcased the love we had cultivated, bred from every household, fruit from the orchards, and even wildflowers gathered from the hillsides. But as the festivities unfolded, I could sense tension simmering just beneath the surface. The villagers were celebrating this newfound spirit of unity, yet undercurrents of discomfort persisted. I took a deep breath and decided to address the crowd, hoping to quell the unspoken fears. "Beloved friends," I began, my voice steady. "Today, we gather to honor the strength of our community and the grace that has intersected each of our lives. Let us not forget the struggles we have faced together, nor the love that continues to blossom among us. We are a mosaic of humanity, formed by our trials and triumphs. Let us embrace all as we would our own." Cheers erupted, but I could see some faces, including Agatha's, twisting in doubt. I knew then that our journey toward complete acceptance was just beginning. It required more than mere words. It demanded action, a commitment towards creating relationships that transcended fear. We needed to cultivate connection, to become mirrors reflecting the humanity in one another. After the feast, I approached Agatha once more, extending my hand in friendship. Would you join me in visiting the leper colony? Together, we can listen to their stories, break bread, and witness the love that has flourished despite adversity. Her hesitation hung between us like a fragile thread. I don't know, Lucien. What if I falter? What if I see something that reinforces my fears? Perhaps what you see will challenge not just your fears, but your faith as well, I replied, my heart hopeful. And ultimately, we can learn together. It's time for us to walk the path of love that Jesus taught us, to put our beliefs into action. After a moment that felt like an eternity, Agatha sighed, vulnerability illuminating her features. All right, if I come, will you promise to guide me through this? I nodded, warmth flooding my chest. I promise. The following days were filled with anticipation as people began to talk about our visit. On the chosen afternoon, a small group gathered outside the village, and we made our way toward the leper colony, the air filled with a sense of both excitement and trepidation. As we arrived, I was struck by the sight that awaited us. The lepers had transformed the once desolate enclave into a sanctuary of vibrancy. Children played freely in the fields. Laughter echoed beneath the bright sky. To my surprise, the residents welcomed us with open arms, embracing the vision of unity we had forged. With every story shared, I noticed Agatha's demeanor soften, the barriers she had built beginning to crumble. She listened intently as the lepers recounted tales of survival, joy, and the love that sustained them through darkness. Embracing them, witnessing their strength, transformed the lens through which she viewed their humanity. As the sun dipped below the horizon, we shared a meal, passing dishes back and forth. It was a simple yet profound gesture that symbolized the breaking of bread, an act that linked our souls and our fates in that moment. The laughter and warmth enveloped us like a blanket, and I could feel the shadows of mistrust dissipating into the twilight. Finally, I turned to Agatha and saw a newfound light in her eyes, one that acknowledged the beauty in our shared journey. "Thank you for coming, Lucien," she whispered, tears pooling at the corners of her gaze. "In you, I found a reflection of grace I never knew I needed." In that moment, I realized that the heart of our story was not just in the miracles we experienced, but in the connections formed across divides. Our small village had learned to embrace its collective vulnerability, evolving into a tapestry woven from the threads of compassion, understanding, and hope. If you resonate with our tale of transformation and the power of love to heal our divisions, please subscribe to Medieval Stories. Let us continue to explore the lessons of our predecessors, uncovering the stories that shape our journeys and inspire us towards a future filled with kindness and unity. Join us as we illuminate the path forward, together step by step. Thank you for being a part of this remarkable journey. As days turned into weeks, the bond between our village and the leper colony solidified, each encounter reinforcing the light that had begun to blossom within us. The narratives we had once held onto the fears, the prejudice, the shame slowly transformed, giving way to compassion and understanding. Each shared meal, each story exchanged, served as a thread in the fabric of our community, stitching us together in love and solidarity. The lepers, now an integral part of our lives, contributed to our village in ways we had never imagined. They shared their skills in weaving, metalwork, and gardening, reviving the economy and enriching our culture. The transformation extended beyond mere acceptance. It ignited a movement of collaboration that uplifted every soul involved. The children began to play together without hesitation, voices filled with laughter echoing through the fields, and in that joyful noise, I heard not just the sounds of innocence, but the promise of a shared future. One bright morning, as I walked to the church, I encountered a group of villagers discussing a new endeavor. They had taken to heart the idea of creating a communal garden dedicated to nurturing both body and spirit. Inspired by the lepers' agricultural skills, they envisioned a sanctuary where all could cultivate food while also fostering friendships. As we gathered to brainstorm ideas for the garden, I felt the energy in the air, an energy of belonging, creativity, and shared purpose.
What if we planted not only vegetables but flowers too?
I suggested. Spaces where the beauty of nature intertwines with nourishment, much like the beauty we've uncovered in our relationships. The villagers agreed enthusiastically, their commitment reflecting a collective excitement. It was a simple idea, but it held profound significance through cultivating life. We were affirming our commitment to unity and growth. Everyone signed up to help, eager to contribute their time and talents. I watched as faces lit up with enthusiasm, hearts swelling with hope. Summer blossomed, and so did our garden. As the plants flourished, so did the relationships among our community members. We held weekly meetings to discuss the garden's progress, but more often than not, our conversations strayed into deeper territory, our hopes, our dreams, our fears, and our pasts. On one such day, as we tended to the seedlings, Agnes, a former skeptic known for her fierce demeanor, shared her story. Her eyes grew misty as she spoke. I remember a time when fear ruled my life, when I was convinced that compassion was weakness. Now, standing here, I realize that it was strength all along. The lepers taught me that vulnerability is a source of power. Her testimony resonated with many, sparking a wave of reflection among us. Others began sharing their journeys, their struggles in coming to terms with their preconceived notions, and how those moments of epiphany had shifted their hearts. The garden became a healing space not just for plants, but for souls, a realm where acceptance and love flourished alongside the crops. As the harvest drew near, I organized a grand feast to celebrate our work and the relationships we had forged. The village buzzed with anticipation, for together we had sown not just seeds in the earth, but seeds of change in our hearts. Each family prepared dishes that reflected their unique heritage, yet carried the symbol of our unity. On the day of the feast, the air was perfumed with the aroma of roasted meats and baked bread, and our village square transformed into a vibrant marketplace of color and laughter. Long tables sprawled beneath the shade of ancient trees, decorated not just with food, but with flowers from our Gardena testament to our newfound bond. As we gathered to eat, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude wash over me. I looked at the faces around me, old friends, newly made connections, and those who had once lived on the fringes saw seated at the same table, sharing in this moment of joy. It was magical. We had woven a tapestry of life that embraced each thread without judgment. Just as we prepared to raise our cups in a toast, a hush fell over the crowd. I turned to see the healed boy from the earlier miracle step forward. His eyes sparkled with innocence, yet there was wisdom in his gaze that belied his years. Let's raise our cups, not just to celebrate our harvest, but to the strength we have found in our unity, he declared. and the crowd erupted in agreement. Together we lifted our mugs to love, to unity, to our village. The cheers echoed through the square, reverberating in our hearts, binding us closer together. And as the sun sunk low on the horizon, casting hues of orange and gold across the sky, I felt an undeniable connection to something greater, recognition of the divine playing out through our shared humanity. For a fleeting moment, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was not just our celebration, but a pivotal point in history, a stepping stone for others to witness the power of community over fear, love over judgment. But the road ahead was not without its challenges. As news of our village spread, whispers of our success began to reach neighboring territories. Some expressed admiration, while others looked upon us with skepticism, concerned that our openness would blur the boundaries drawn between the clean and unclean. It was inevitable. Fear has a way of breeding suspicion, and I sensed that our progress could be met with oppositional force. Before long, we were approached by dignitaries from the neighboring villages. They arrived with ornate robes and solemn expressions, embodying the weight of tradition. Their leader, a stout man named Lord Bertrand, confronted me gravely. "Lucien, while we commend your efforts, we must consider the implications of such associations. Bringing the afflicted into the heart of the village may upset the balance, and we risk our favor with God." The tension crackled in the air as the villagers surrounded me, their expressions a mix of defiance and apprehension. I could feel the walls closing in as the reality of our choices shaped the conversation. The dialogue danced dangerously close to condemnation. "Lord Bertrand," I implored, "compassion is never a sin. It is our greatest gift. The true measure of our faith lies not in distance from those we fear, but in our willingness to love them." "Yet, your kindness has consequences," he retorted. "You cannot expect others to embrace what threatens to unravel centuries of tradition." His words hung in the air like a storm cloud, and I took a step back, searching for a way to navigate this confrontation without sacrificing the values we had fought to uphold. We did not forsake tradition. We fulfilled its truest essence. Compassion is a universal truth. It requires courage to embrace, not fear. Awareness bloomed among my fellow villagers. As Lord Bertrand shifted uncomfortably, they began to step forward, voices rising in solidarity. Bonded by our experiences, we would not yield to fear. Together we stood united, a force imbued with the strength of shared conviction. Our resolve manifested through each pledge spoken aloud. We were committed to being beacons of hope, to letting love guide our actions. With courage, we extended an invitation to the Lord and his entourage to experience the true essence of our community, not through prejudice, but through the lens of understanding. As we walked the gardens, the transformation of our village enveloped him. The laughter of children, the camaraderie amidst the crops, the spirit of togetherness that refused to be stifled. Little did he know that, in facing our adversity, we were closer to the heart of God than any adherence to the law could hope to bring. "Perhaps," Lord Bertrand finally murmured, contemplating the relationships unfolding before him, "there exists a beauty in your chaos that may need reconsideration." With that sentiment, a fissure broke in the rigid lines of tradition. He listened as I spoke fervently, sharing our stories of love and unity, and I hoped to sow a seed of understanding. It was a small victory, but one we would nurture in the days ahead. As night fell and the stars began to twinkle, I stood amidst my village, feeling both the weight of responsibility and the thrill of possibility. Our community had changed. Our hearts had been opened, and with every step we forged a new path. If you find yourself moved by our tale of courage, compassion, and the unyielding strength of the human spirit, consider subscribing to Medieval Stories. Together, we will explore the intricate histories that shape our lives and illuminate the bridges we can build in our quest for understanding and love. Join us in this important journey. Thank you for being part of our story.